welcome to all of you. Staying at home, take care in this pandemic situation of COVID-19. So let us start the seventh paper, physical plus inorganic chemistry, and I am going to start the new topic of this paper, theory of gravimetric analysis. So here is a comparison of volumetric analysis and gravimetric analysis. So first of all, we must know the concept of volumetric analysis and gravimetric analysis. In volumetric analysis, we have already performed this experiment. So here in volumetric analysis, there are some apparatus, burette, pipette, chemical flask, indicator. So these are the apparatus which are used in volumetric analysis, and the solution which is present in burette is known as titrant, and the solution which is present in conical flask is known as titrant. We are adding the burette solution drop by drop to the conical flask, and with the help of indicator we have to determine the end point of the given solution. That means in volumetric analysis, to determine the amount of desired constituent by its volume, as well as in gravimetric analysis, the process of measuring the amount of an analyte by its mass. It means that in gravimetric analysis we have to determine the mass of the analyte or substance. So mass of the analyte is to be determined. Second one, in volumetric analysis, the volume of the analyte is to be determined. That means we have to prepare the solution of analyte or the substance which is to be determined. So third involves the formation of solid mass known as a precipitate. So the precipitate means here uh, the insoluble form of the compound which can be separated from the sample, and in volumetric analysis it can be done by titration or the titrimetric method, in which the volume of the analyte is determined by adding the portion of reagent that can react with the analyte. So the last point of this comparison generally gives the final result in grams. So in gravimetric analysis, the result will be present in the form of grams, and the final result in volumetric analysis in millimeter. So we have to know first the comparison of volumetric analysis as well as the gravimetric analysis. So the definition or the terms. First of all, whenever we study the gravimetric analysis, we know here the definition of solution, solute, and solvent. So solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. Okay, and the solute are the substance present in smaller amount, and solvent is the substance present in the larger amount. It can be explained as a diagrammatically. Okay, so here solution is a mixture that has the same composition throughout the mixture, is the homogeneous, and solute, that means the substance being dissolved in lesser quantity, and solvent, what the solute is dissolved in greater quantity. And here it is the figure. We have to take the glass of water, and in which solute means sugar is added, and it forms the clear solution. That means the solute is completely dissolved in the glass of water. It is a clear solution. It means that this is known as a saturated solution. And the definition of saturated solution contains the maximum amount of the solute that will dissolve in the given solvent at a specific temperature. Next, the definition, unsaturated solution. So this is the unsaturated solution here contains less solute than the solvent, has capacity to dissolve at a specific temperature. That means at a room temperature, how much amount of the solute will be dissolved. That means less quantity of the solute. And here the figures are given having the test tube containing the solute and the solvent. First, we know the unsaturated solution. That means more solute dissolved here. In saturated, no more solute is dissolved because it gives the clear solution here. Then third one, supersaturated solution becomes unstable when we add the amount of the solute here. And the definition of supersaturated solution more than the maximum amount of solute at a given temperature which is unstable and it forms the crystal here. That means we are adding the maximum amount of the solute to the supersaturated solution, and the definition of the supersaturated solution contains more solute than in present in saturated solution at a specific temperature. And the question can be asked, explain the terms saturated solution, unsaturated solution, or supersaturated solution, and the question can be asked on this point here. Next, precipitation. We must know the terms here, precipitation and the solubility terms here. Precipitate. So precipitate means it is the insoluble form of the compound, or it is insoluble solid separated from the solution as a result of the chemical reaction. And precipitant, it is a chemical reagent that forms the precipitation on addition to the solution. And precipitation is the process of forming of precipitate due to the chemical reaction. Means whenever the precipitation takes place, there is a chemical reaction. That means the exchange of ions, cations and anions which are present in the solute and the solvent having solvent, cations and anions, there may be the reaction between the ions here. So here the three terms are given: ionic product and solubility product. Ionic product means the actual charge which is present in the solute, that means cations and anions, and solubility means the dissolving capacity of the solute in the solvent. And if the ionic product is equal to the solubility product, so the solution will be saturated solution. Second, ionic product is less than solubility product. So here it is the dissolving capacity of the ion will be maximum as compared to the ionic product. So this solution will be unsaturated solution, and ionic product is greater than solubility product. This condition is known as precipitation. That means the product of the charge, that means cations and anions, are greater than that of the dissolving capacity of the ions here. Then we have to switch over to solubility. So the solubility means the maximum uh, grams of solute that dissolve in 100 grams of the solvent at a given temperature. So here it is, how much amount of the solute will be dissolved at a given temperature or at a room temperature, and it varies with the temperature. If we increase the temperature, automatically the solubility will be increases, and it is based on the saturated solution here. Next, the term solubility product. So here solubility product is designated as KSP, applies in the situation where the salt do not fully dissolve in the solvent. The solvent is generally water, and the substance solubility product is the mathematical product of its dissolved ion concentration raised to the power of their stoichiometric coefficient. And here it is given by the equation barium sulfate. This is the salt. If we ionize the barium sulfate, Ba plus 2 and SO4 2 negative, that means the oxidation state of barium is plus 2 and sulfate is minus 2. When we write the equilibrium constant for this expression for the dissolution of barium sulfate, we remember that the concentration of the solid is a constant, and the equilibrium expression, it can be written as K constant equal to Ba concentration of Ba plus 2 into concentration of SO4 2 negative, where K equal to KSP constant equal to solubility product. So Ksp, we can write here Ksp equal to concentration of Ba plus 2 into concentration of SO4 2 negative. So this is the expression for the solubility product here. So the question can be asked, explain the term solubility and solubility product. Next, solubility product constant. How this process should be takes place. An equilibrium can exist between partially soluble substance in its solution. So here there are three figures. So in the first figure, salt is initially put in a water and begins dissolving. So the second, salt continues to dissolve. However, uh, dissolved ions will also appear as a precipitate. That means the formation of insoluble form of the compound, because the salt dissolves faster than the ion, its ions precipitate. The net movement towards its dissolution. And in third one, the rate of dissolution will equal the rate of precipitation. The solution will be in equilibrium, but the ions will continue to dissolve and formation of the precipitate. So how this process should be take place in the formation of solubility product here. Next, which are the factors responsible to affect the solubility? First, the temperature. So the solubility generally increase with the temperature. And second one, common ion effect. This common ion reduce the solubility. And third one, pH of the solution. pH affects the solubility of the ionic compound. We know the pH scale 1 to 7 is acid and 7 to 14 is basic and 7 is neutral. We have to adjust the pH of the solution in this gravimetric analysis. And fourth one, formation of the complex ion. The formation of complex ion increases the solubility here. Next, common ion effect. So the question can be asked, explain the common ion effect. Very important question. Every time the question will be asked on solubility and solubility product and also the common ion effect. This is the most important question. The dissociation of weak electrolyte is decreased by adding to the solution of strong electrolyte, that is salt, has an ion in common with the weak electrolyte. That means we are adding the strong electrolyte, adding to the weak electrolyte. There is a common ion between these two electrolytes here. Here it is the example when silver nitrate is added to the saturated solution of silver chloride. That means this salt having silver having the same ions here, and it is the source of common ion. By the definition of common ion is an ion that enters the solution from the two different sources, the solutions to which both sodium chloride and silver chloride. This is another example here. That means this sodium chloride having chloride ion and silver chloride having fluoride ions, both having the common ion in this case. And there is an effect of common ions on solubility product equilibrium. And this is the equation given AgCl. If we ionize Ag positive and Cl negative, here we are adding the sodium chloride. This sodium chloride having the Cl ions and silver chloride having the Cn ions. That means uh, the dissociation constant of this weak electrolyte is decreased by the addition of this sodium chloride or the uh, silver chloride. Okay, then we have to switch over to introduction of gravimetric analysis. First of all, we must know what is the gravimetric analysis. Gravi means weighing and metric means measure or the process here. And here in gravimetric analysis, to measure the purity, that means how much amount of the sample should be pure in pure form. Second, most accurate analytical techniques. It is an absolute method, precise method of macro quantitative analysis, and possible source of error can be checked here. Gravimetric analysis describes the set of methods in analytical chemistry for quantitative determination. That means What is the definition of quantitative analysis? That means least amount of the sample should be used for the determination of in gravimetric analysis. Analyte based on the mass of the solid. The gravimetric analysis potential one of the most accurate class of analytical method available. The weight can be measured with greater accuracy than almost any other fundamental property. That means we have to measure the quantity of the final product in gravimetric analysis. And there are various steps involved in gravimetric analysis. First, the preparation of the sample solution. Second one, the precipitation process. Third one, the digestion or Ostwald ripening. Fourth one, filtration. Fifth one, washing. Then drying, igniting, weighing, and calculation. There are so many steps in gravimetric analysis. Whenever we perform the experiment, we have to follow all these steps which are involved in gravimetric analysis. Here are the steps in gravimetric analysis. Uh, The steps required in gravimetric analysis after the sample has been dissolved can be summarized. First, the preparation of the sample solution. Second one, precipitation. Then digestion, filtration, washing, drying, and igniting. That means ignition, weighing, and finally calculation here. So the first, preparation of the solution, sample solution. This may involve the several steps including adjustment of the pH. Here, whenever we perform to prepare the solution, there is the adjusting of the pH of the solution in order to get the precipitate from the sample. And here it is occur quantitatively and get the precipitate of a desired properties removing interference. That means the impurity. And it can be shown again by diagrammatically here. The second step in gravimetric analysis is precipitation. Precipitate means it forms the insoluble form of the compound, which is prepared from solute and the solvent. So this precipitation reaction is an ionic reaction in which the positive ions of one substance in a solution combines with the negative ions of the another substance, also the solution to form the strongly soluble substance. Here the definition: a chemical reaction causes the formation of strongly soluble substance that precipitate from solution is filtered, washed, purified, and weighed. So again, it can be shown in the figure how this precipitation process should be takes place. Here first solution of precipitating reagent is added to the sample solution and precipitate is formed. And here the reaction, when we add the silver nitrate to this sodium chloride, it forms silver chloride as a white precipitate and it settles at the bottom of the test tube plus another salt is formed sodium nitrate here. Here the figure explains the first one is the beaker. In the second figure it forms the strongly soluble salt and in the third one ultimately we get the product here precipitate. Third, the digestion of the precipitate. So what is the actual process should be takes place in the digestion of the precipitate. So this digestion is the process keeping the precipitate within the mother liquor or the solution from which it is precipitated. That means first of all we know here the process should be takes place. That means the solute is added to the solvent and all the steps are going from in the beaker. So the digestion is the process keeping the precipitate within the mother liquor for a certain period of time encourage the densification of the nuclei. During the digestion, smaller particles get dissolved and formation of larger ones grow in Ostwald ripening. So due to this digestion, so here the small particles will dissolve and formation or grow the larger one. So this is the Ostwald ripening process here. And this process helps to produce larger crystals that are more easily filtered from the solution. And it can be shown again in the figure. This is the example of silver chloride and silver nitrate. How this silver chloride will be formed from silver nitrate and uh, sodium uh, silver chloride. Then the next step is the co-precipitation. So what is the meaning of the co-precipitation? Co-precipitation is the phenomenon in which the soluble compounds are removed from the solution during the precipitate formation. So this co-precipitation process takes place due to the presence of the impurity. So first of all, we remove the impurity to avoid the chance of co-precipitation. And this co-precipitation process are in four types. First is surface adsorption, second one mixed crystal formation, occlusion and mechanical entrapment. Surface absorption means the smaller particles will get deposited on the larger particles. That means by adsorb method. Second one mixed crystal formation, and due to the mixing of the particles it forms the nuclei, and the nuclei grows to into particle size, and ultimately it forms the crystal formation. Along with the crystal formation there is a impurity is there. Then third one occlusion. So here it can be shown by diagrammatically. Here the impurity will be occult in the main precipitate here. And third one mechanical entrapment. That means so here all the impurity will be occult in the main precipitate. Surface adsorption and mixed crystal formation are equilibrium process, whereas occlusion and mechanical entrapment arise from the kinetics of the crystal growth here. That means here the in the motion, the particles are in motion, and it can be explained by the example barium sulfate. If we ionize this barium sulfate Ba plus 2 SO4 to negative and formation of barium sulfate here. Along with the main precipitate of barium sulfate here, there is a impurity or the contaminated chromate, and it also forms the barium chromate here. So this is the co-precipitate, and this co-precipitate is formed along with the main precipitate. This contaminant will go to get occult inside the crystal lattice of barium sulfate. That means engulf in the main precipitate of the crystal lattice of the barium sulfate. Co-precipitation can cause the enormous result. That means it can change all the result here. In order to minimize the co-precipitation, we digest the precipitate. The digesting the precipitate in suitable solvent and reprecipitating gives good yield here. Then next, post precipitation here. So what is the post precipitation? When the precipitate is allowed to stand in contact with the mother liquor. Mother liquor means first of all we have to perform the experiment solute and solvent. So the solute is dissolved in the solvent, and here the main role of here the solvent, and the solvent is also called as the mother liquor. A second substance will slowly form the precipitate with the precipitating reagent. For example, calcium oxalate is precipitated in the presence of magnesium ion. That means the magnesium ions having the oxidation state plus 2 and calcium having plus 2, both are having the same oxidation state, and they form the precipitate. The maximum oxalate does not form immediately precipitate because it tends to form the supersaturated solution here. That means in the post precipitation, the formation of calcium oxalate precipitate, and also along with this magnesium oxalate also. So there is a formation of both type of the PPT. This is called post precipitation. Another one example, copper sulfide will precipitate in acid solution in the presence of zinc ion, but eventually zinc sulfide will also precipitate along with the copper sulfide here. Okay, it can be shown by this figure. Here the star indicates the first precipitate and impurities are shown in blue lines. That means there is a formation of post precipitate along with the first precipitate here. So this is the post precipitation. Next important factors for gravimetric analysis. Nucleation. What is the actual process should be takes place after the precipitation? So this is the nucleation. The molecules in the solution comes together randomly and form small aggregates, several ions of the precipitate, and come together to form the macro size particle called as the nucleus. This is the nucleus. the smaller particle will get to form the nucleus, and then after grow the particle growth. The addition of the molecules to the nucleus to form the crystal. Here it is the figure. In the first figure, there is a nucleus, then again form the aggregate form of this nucleus, and finally give the big molecule here. Then precipitation analysis, process of how this process should be takes place of crystal growth. Nucleation and particle growth always cooperate for molecules and ions being precipitated. If the nucleation is faster than particle growth, a large number of small aggregates occur giving colloidal suspension. Aggregates means the total group. The particle growth is faster than nucleation, then the large particles forming the giving rise the pure crystal. Here are the two possibilities. If nucleation is faster than particle growth, small aggregates occurring giving the colloidal solution. So this is the colloidal solution. And if particle growth is faster than nucleation, it gives the large particles forming the pure crystal here, and it can be shown by the figure here. Then final here in the final conical class, it gives the pure crystal. Okay, the colloidal solution suspension, colloidal particles remain suspended due to the adsorbed ions given the positive and negative charge. So this is the crystal formation here. Then the fourth step, washing and filtration of the precipitate. How this process should be takes place. This is a simple technique for washing and filtration of the precipitate. This is the conical flask which is having the funnel, and in the funnel there is a presence of the filter paper, and we are adding the solution from the conical flask to this funnel, and here the filtrate and residue will be deposited here on the on this filter paper. And this is the can be shown by again the second figure how this filtration should be takes place here. Okay, and here in the third figure how this residue or the precipitate should be washed with the reagent. This reagent are nitric acid and ammonium nitrate is used for washing the silver chloride precipitate. That means the impurity will be removed from this residue or the precipitate, and which comes down to the filtrate in the beaker here. So co-precipitate impurities, especially these on the substance, can be removed by washing the precipitate after filtering. The precipitate will be wet by mother liquid that can also removed by washing. That means for washing we are using here the mother liquor or the nitric acid as well as the ammonium nitrate here. Many precipitate cannot be washed with the pure water because peptidization occurs, the reverse of coagulation. That means it forms the sticky substance. If we use the water, there is a formation of the sticky substance here. Then fifth, drying and ignition of the precipitate. How this process should be takes place here. Here the desiccator, in the desiccator presence of the silica crucible, and below the bottom of the desiccator here calcium chloride for absorbing the water molecules which is present in the silica crucible. This is the structure of silica crucible here, and it can be shown in the figure by as like as the flow chart here. The purpose of drying, heating about 120 to 150 degrees Celsius in oven. So the role of heating about 120 to 150 means removal of water molecules, moisture of the water, or ignition in the muffle furnace. Or it can be takes place in muffle furnace temperature ranging from 600 to 1200 is to get a material with exactly known chemical structure so that the amount of analyte can be accurately. So here how this precipitate uh, should be dried. This is a simple technique using as a gas burner. This is a wire gauze. This is a stand. Keeping the silica crucible on this wire gauze is having the precipitate. This is a calcium clay pipe. Okay. So by putting the clay pipe here below this silica crucible, and heat with the burner. That means the removal of the water molecule. This is the second figure how this process should be takes place here. With the help of this pair of tongue, putting the silica crucible on the calcium clay pipe and below this gas burner. And here how this precipitate will be burning on this clay pipe, and here the silica crucible having the residue or the precipitate. Ultimately we will get the product here. So how much quantity of the residue or the precipitate we will get here, it can be measured with the help of this electronic balance here. So this is the formula to calculate the how much percentage we will get here of the residue. This is the simple formula we can calculate here. Then the types of the precipitate. So there are three types of the precipitate. First one is crystalline, second one is curdy, just like the curd, and third one gelatinous. The crystalline precipitates are relatively pure and consist of easily filterable particles. So second one, curdy precipitate are agglomerators of colloidal particles are filterable size. However, they are more easily contaminated than the crystalline precipitate and hence must be washed with an electrolyte. That means this precipitate should be washed with the electrolyte, this crystalline as well as the curdy. And third one is the gelatinous precipitate are flocculated colloids. The particle is smaller in size than that of the curdy precipitate and hence it is difficult to filter. They must also be washed with an electrolyte solution to prevent the peptidation. That means the formation of the sticky material. And here it is the example in crystalline precipitate, barium sulfate, calcium oxalate, second one curdy precipitate, silver chloride, silver bromide, and gelatinous precipitate are aluminum hydroxide and ferric hydroxide. Every time the question can be asked, explain the types of the precipitate here. And another question is which factors are responsible for affecting the precipitation? There are two factors. First one is the pH and then temperature here. So here the factors affecting the precipitation, effect of temperature. We know very well if we increase the temperature, then the solubility will be increases here. When the precipitation is carried out at higher temperature, the precipitate form is of high purity due to the better crystal structure and hence wherever possible precipitation which is carried out at a higher temperature is the most advantageous, but then it should be cooled before the filtration. This is the first point which depends the fact affecting the precipitation. Second one, pH, the solubility of the precipitate with change in pH. That means we have to adjust the pH of the solution. The effect depend on the type of the precipitate. So which type of the precipitate is present there, whether it is crystalline, curdy, or gelatinous. Generally, the precipitate of the metal hydroxides and those of strongly soluble salt of weak acids are precipitate only in alkaline and neutral pH ranges. Smaller the dissolution constant for acid, the higher is the pH required for practically completion of the precipitation of its salt. The selectivity of organic reagents can also be improved by the control of pH at a high here. So it can be shown again in the slide, the color slide, factors affecting the solubility, precipitate pH, the solubility of the substance depend on the pH of the solution from which the salt is precipitated. The solubility of the precipitate of a salt of a strong acid such as barium sulfate, silver chloride is unaffected, but that a salt of weak acid is affected considerably. For example, precipitate of oxalate, carbonate, phosphate dissolves in the presence of excess of acid here. Second, effect of temperature. The dissolution of the solute in solvent is endothermic. And what is the endothermic? That means the heat is absorbed from the system. And exothermic means the heat is evolved in this exothermic process here. Therefore, the solubility and solubility product increases with increase in temperature. The solubility of silver chloride in water increases by about 20 times when there is a rise in temperature from 298 Kelvin to 373 Kelvin. The process of precipitation is carried out in hot solution. Generally, you remember the precipitation is carried out in hot condition. That means it gives the better result in hot solution. It helps to give the precipitate of large, uniform size and easy filtrate here. So it is in this way we have to complete this topic. I have already taken the Zoom online classes on this gravimetric analysis. Okay. So those who are interested to send me the request on my personal WhatsApp number, I will send you the explanation of Zoom online class video. So this is the question which are given on this topic. First, explain the terms precipitate. Second, precipitation. Third one, precipitant, saturated solution, unsaturated solution, and supersaturated solution. This is the most important terms which are given here. Second, write note on co-precipitation. Then third, write note on post-precipitation. Fourth, explain the types of precipitate. And fifth one, explain the various steps which are involved in the gravimetric analysis. This is a long, generally this is a long question, but some specific steps are asking in the examination, just like precipitation, digestion of the precipitate, co-precipitation, post-precipitation, how this washing and filtration should be takes place in the gravimetric analysis, and then what are the common ion effects. Then next, define solubility and explain the solubility product. This is the important question. These two questions are explain the factors affecting the precipitation. First is effect of pH, second temperature, and then ninth question, difference between co-precipitation and post-precipitation. Then 10th question, explain the digestion or aging of the precipitate. Explain the process of filtration and washing of the precipitate. And last, explain the process of drying of the precipitate. These all are the important question. We have to read the notes carefully and study as well, and then solve all the question on the A4 size paper or ruling page. Okay, and you have to submit me on Google Classroom. Okay, thank you.